Well, I love that music to start the show off. It just has to be what the Boston Celtics are feeling like in their locker room. Maybe they ought to play that song to get inspired. And now I don't know why it's playing again. That is so bizarre. That is really bizarre. I love that music to start the show off.
It's a
has to be what the Boston Celtics are feeling like in their locker room. Maybe they ought to play that song to get inspired. And now I don't know why it's playing again. I have no idea why this is happening right now.
Do you have another?
Oh my goodness! That is really. I love that music to start the show off.
It's a.
Wow. I have no idea why this is happening. Locker room. Maybe they ought to
Do you have
play
YouTube
that
up?
inspired. And now I don't know why it's playing again. I have no idea why this is happening right now. This is crazy. Oh my goodness. I love that music to start the show off. Why is it looping? I have no idea. I have no idea why this is happening. Locker room. Maybe they ought to play that inspired. And I don't know why it's playing again. I have no idea why this is happening right now. This is bizarre. Oh my goodness.
Mute yourself, John. Mute yourself real quick, John. So that is not.
Why is it looping? I have no idea. If we end the broadcast, I have to.
John, mute yourself real quick. John, mute yourself.
It's muted.
Sorry, guys, for the technical difficulties. There's John. All right. Well, you know what? We're still live. So I'll just get this going. Obviously, we got one game on the board today. We got the Celtics and the Heat here. I'm not sure the line has moved since the news broke out about Harrell and some of the injury statuses. So we can bring that up real quick and see what's going on here. I believe it opened up at minus, or I was seeing some -6 this morning for Boston. And then once the Harrell news came out that he was going to be out, it has moved to -7. The total has gone down to 206 too. It opened up at 208.5. So to me, obviously Harrell's a big impact player for this Miami Heat team coming off the bench. So that means we're probably going to see a lot of Max Strus, Victor Oladipo, and Gabe Vincent here. Maybe we get a glimpse of some Duncan Robinson before it's garbage time. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. I'm while we wait for John to get back in here, I'm gonna go through the chat a little bit. I can't even click on it. Dexter, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. And I see it's your first live show. Thanks for the support. Alejandro, what's up, guys? Somnath, Jimmy Butler playing today. I believe so. I believe he's going to play through that injury. Current status, I believe, is game time decision. So is PJ Tucker. The only person that I know for sure at this moment that is out is Tyler Harrell. On the Boston side, I believe Marcus Smart and Robert Williams are both game time decision. To me, everyone on the Miami Heat side will probably play except for Harrell. He's the only one that's been called out. And then on Boston side, I believe Robert Williams and Marcus Smart are both true game time decisions. They're probably going to go through shoot around and see how they do in that situation, before the game. And if they're up for it, they'll probably play. And obviously, those two guys are big impact players here for the Boston Celtics. From my perspective here, we're just looking at the previous game. Obviously the Heat kind of took control in Game 3 here. Celtics shot nearly 50% from the field in that last game too, but they still lost as the home favorite. To me, what I saw happen was the Celtics committed way too many turnovers, 23 turnovers. The Heat scored 33 points off of those turnovers. They also took advantage of Robert Williams not playing. They took the Miami Heat took care of the points in the paint battle, 48-34. In both losses, the Celtics turned the ball over 15 plus times. And in the one win, they only turned the ball over just 9 times. So I think that this is a key stat here for the Boston Celtics. Obviously, in any game, if you take care of the ball, you're likely going to have many more possessions to try and score, and you're going to leave your opponent with less possessions as well. So, just overall taking care of the ball. If the Celtics can do that, and if Robert Williams plays today, to me, I think it's a wrap. I think Celtics is the way to go here. Bam showed up, like I mentioned, without Robert Williams in there to defend the paint. And another thing here, like I mentioned earlier, if Williams and Smart's status is more known prior to the game, I think that's going to be something that impacts the line. Right now, they're both game time decisions. Whether they're in or out, I think it could still move the line maybe a point at the very least. Butler and PJ, like I mentioned earlier, also their game time decision. They're both dealing with injuries. But to me, I think they're likely going to play through it. And here's John. John, you got to figure it out.
I do believe I got it figured out. Hopefully you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I heard everything you were saying while I've been gone. So
yeah, okay,
I'm up to
awesome.
speed with you.
Got it. All right. So I was just going through like the injuries here, and obviously now we have Harrell out, so we're likely going to see Vincent Strus and Oladipo. I feel like Oladipo made a huge impact on the defensive side of the ball, especially in that last game. And then another thing to note is Scott Foster will be officiating today. We always got to bring up Scott Foster every time he refs. But Lowry came back last game, and we've seen a lot of flopping from him. And usually when you see Scott Foster, it's probably gonna he's not gonna fall for those types of plays. So that's gonna limit the amount of fouls being called towards the Miami Heat, in my opinion. But overall, I think the look here is towards the Boston Celtics. John, your thoughts here?
Well, I think the lean is definitely to the Boston Celtics as well. I can't imagine a team this talented is going to not show up. But the Scott Foster, as I put in our description for the show today, is an interesting situation. I'm not sure. Do you have a feel for like who that benefits? I mean, does it benefit Jaylen Brown getting more of his touch calls, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like I mentioned with Lowry, I feel like he did a lot. He did a lot of flopping himself in that game, and my understanding is what happens in these playoffs is after every game, the refs go through the game and figure out what happened, what was called right, what was called wrong, and they come back and they adjust to those incorrect calls, right? And to me, if you see a game where you're seeing a whole bunch of flopping and those end up getting called, the refs come into this one and say, well, you're not going to get away with those now. You know what I mean? They're going to look for those calls, those plays, and make the right decision this time around. So for me to bring in a professional ref like Scott Foster into this position, they're going to make the adjustments to make the proper calls on these flops and the fouls. So to me, I think it's going to benefit the Boston Celtics a little bit more here. I think Miami got away with a lot of physical plays. And the opposite happened for Miami. They got away with a lot of flopping, and so hopefully they adjust to those calls, and this benefits the Boston Celtics here.
Yeah, I think it will. It's interesting that I too, as Alejandro says here, 7 points seems to be an awful lot. But I still gotta expect that the Boston Celtics are going to come out with on a mission. They can't go down 3-1. Now I'll tell you why they can't go down 3-1, because the database tells us that teams in the following game in a series that's 3-1 are 49-77 straight up for 39%. 68-56-2, however, against the spread for 54.8%, and the under is basically 5 games over 500 at 65-60-1. But it gets worse, as is the case with the Dallas Mavericks being down 0-3 to the Golden State Warriors. So I think we know one team that's going to be in the final. And for the series, there was a I guess that was funny.
That was to me.
Yeah, that's good. I got a direct message from a follower today, and he was seeing the money line for the futures for this series at -110 for both the Celtics and the Heat. So if that is the case, and while we talk about that little part of the series futures opportunity, I'm going to check on BetMGM and see where it is live. But it seems like that would be a gift to take the the Heat. And if you like the Heat tonight, instead of betting them plus the 7, just bet the series at minus 110. Do you think that's a better? I think that's a much, much better option. So I'll let you talk about that for a little bit, and then I'll check the BetMGM here while we're
Yeah, I mean,
talking.
it makes sense here. I mean, I think it's kind of telling us a story, right? Because in my opinion, if the series line here is minus 110 each way, and the Miami Heat are up 2-1, they have the home advantage right now. I feel like today the Boston Celtics are going to win. There's no other way around it. I feel like it would be plus money right now if we thought the Miami Heat were going to win this series, this game tonight. Even as underdogs, and the line should be plus money on the Boston Celtics for the series. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's just interesting to me that if there's a possibility that the Boston Celtics go down 3-1 tonight, that the line for the series is minus 110 each way. I don't think that's possible. So to me, that's telling us that Boston Celtics should win tonight's game. Whether or not it's by margin, we don't know. But I would probably say, I think in this situation they get it done. I think they're able to get it done by minus. I think the line here is minus 7. I think they get it done. That's my opinion here.
Yeah, and it's interesting. BetMGM conference winner Heat minus 115, Celtics minus 105. If it ends in 5 games, it's plus 550. 6 games plus 135. 7 games plus 105. So the market is telling us this is definitely going 6 or probably 7. Which, if that happens, Boston kind of has to win tonight. If the market is correct. If you think Miami is going to win this 4 games to 2, that's plus 500 right now. If you're a big Heat fan, if you're the Celtics, ripping off 3 in a row, that's plus 260, which doesn't seem. I mean, that is crazy. Don't you think that's kind of nuts? Why would you do that bet to think that Boston's going to win 3 in a row? And only get paid 260. You're better off doing the money line straight up over the next 3 games than plus 260. I mean, goodness gracious, that's crazy. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe the chat room can explain it to us a little bit better. But I do have the angle of the day for this, and it's pretty simple, and it's short and sweet, and it is this: game has to be a playoff game. Team is coming off a straight-up loss as a home favorite, which we all know the Celtics are. The team is lined as a 4.5 point or greater favorite in the current game, and the series game number is 4, 5, 6, or 7. 22-3 straight up, 88%. That certainly bodes well for the Celtics. A favorable 15-10, 60% winners. That's pretty solid too. The under is 19-6 though for 76% wins. I'm not sure what I think of that, to be honest with you. And these are tools that Ronald and I use. It doesn't mean anything more than we're presenting information to try to help all of you out there. Because if we end up with an over bet and you like the under, this will fuel as in jet fuel. Having problems with the words, but anyway, you understand what I'm saying. The information is to be used as you see fit, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you like it, then you use it. But this is pretty solid stuff. I mean, I can't get off of Boston. I just I know this will sound crazy. But I can't trust Tatum, and he's supposed superstar in the making, or is one. A lot of times defensively, he kind of isn't there. If I'm watching the same game everybody else is, and with Butler on the court, you know what you're getting with Butler, even if he's not 100%. You know what you're getting with Jimmy Butler, and that feeds off into the rest of the team too. So maybe it'll end up being a live in-game bet opportunity too with the that underside. You would think that Boston would come flying out of the gate, right? Try to get a double-digit lead as quickly as possible and remove any expectation that from the Heat team and their players that they could actually win this game too. I would think the total you could possibly get up around 217.5 maybe if it starts out really fast. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that as far as the total goes, this is going to be tough just because you're missing a lot of offense with Harrell coming off of the bench. He's sort of that guy, that spark plug off of the bench here, and you bring in Oladipo, who isn't as efficient offensively, but he brings a lot of defense, right? So that's something that we're going to see in the second unit. That's going to be a lot different for Miami, this time around with Harrell out. How that affects Boston, I think we just need to really understand the current status of Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. I think this is something that we really the second unit is where the difference is, right? Because we know who the starters are. We know how the impact of how they can play. It's going to be a defensive game from the starters. Both of these teams are 1 and 2 in defensive rating for their starting lineups, especially when they're at full strength. So. But again, we're going to need to know we need to understand the current status of Robert Williams and Marcus Smart here, because those guys are the two key guys on the defensive end for Boston. So I think if they play, I would look towards the under maybe all the way through. I can't see these guys I can't even see these guys having a run to begin with. And then you bring in the second unit and you lose offense here, and that's even more so looking towards the under. So like I said, I think Smart and Robert Williams' status is just way too important to really make a decision at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. Looking at the player props, Tatum is 32.5 -115 over, -115 under. I'm certainly leaning. I like the guy. I like how he plays, most of the time. But I don't. If we're thinking that this is going to be a very physical, slower paced type of game, it only makes sense that you would look at under bets in the player prop area, especially the ones that are the highest. Even Butler at 29.5, -125 over, -110 under. So people are jumping all over Jimmy Butler to get the juice up to -125, at least at BetMGM.
Yeah.
And I think Horford, too, points and assists under 14.5. That looks a little tasty to me, too. But I think out of that bunch, Tatum is the one that's sticking out the most. Marcus Smart, 21.5. I mean, he could do that in a half. In the first half. I mean, if he plays like we've seen him play, that seems pretty low to me. But you have any thoughts on the player props at all? I mean, it's hard with
one. Yeah, it is tough, but I think one that I'm looking at currently is Kyle Lowry points under 11.5. He hasn't hit that in 5 straight playoff games. Last time he hit it was against Atlanta earlier in the playoffs. Other than that, obviously he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. I think game flow and also defensive matchup here really just limits his offensive output. In my opinion, they're going to really need to, if Miami wants to win this game, they're going to have to go back to Bam Adebayo again down low, and that's going to mean him and Jimmy, or him and Bam and Jimmy Butler will be the key focus here, and really just Lowry playing limited minutes here, just playing defense, not really looking to score. In my opinion, if they won Game 3 the way they did, then it's probably going to be the same output for Kyle Lowry here. I think under 11.5 is a good look.
Yeah, we're getting some interesting comments from the chat room that's supporting my my sentiment of Tatum, which is it's interesting. I don't think I'm the only one out there. What I don't like about his play, Ronald, is pretty simple. When he doesn't get a call, instead of running back on defense and taking care of that business, he's taking up his own personal business with the referee. Yeah. And you can't play the NBA 4-on-5. You just can't. And I always bring up Michael Jordan because if there's a film clip of him arguing with a referee while his team is on defense, I'd love to see it. Same thing with Kobe. I mean, those two guys. I mean, there was no time to argue with the ref when the action and the clock were running.
Yeah.
The clock stops, then they certainly got in the referee's face, but not off of a missed shot where they thought they got fouled. I mean, that's the part that I think he hurts his team. And that's why I'm a little struggling with this 7-point line with Boston. I know it's such a big game for them. You would think that they would just come out and just send a message that this series is far from over. But I just don't know.
Yeah.
So what do you think we should make our show best bet?
I mean, right now, I think we're both leaning towards Boston side. But for me, I really still do want to wait for Smart and Robert Williams. To Dexter's question about if Smart is still out, does the Celtics win? I still think they can win, but whether or not they cover that number is a different question, though, right? The impact on the defense side of the ball and how much more efficient Boston plays with him on the court is a big impact. So if they win, they would win in a different style or in a different fashion, in my opinion. But they still could get the W.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I like this message too. I thought you had a direct message from one of the players. No, just Scott Foster. I'm kidding, of course.
Scott.
But the poor guy, Scott Foster, is mentioned in just about every single game he referees now in the playoffs especially. But maybe they will call it a little tighter. But if you like Boston, I think we wait because obviously that line is pricing in Smart playing, in my opinion. No doubt about it. And it's also factoring in Jimmy Butler playing too, which is a fair line. But if for some reason Smart can't go, that line's not going to be -7 or -8 anymore. It's going to be probably 4.5. Yeah. I think it could drop that much on one player.
If what happens?
If Smart doesn't play, if he's ruled out tonight.
And, if both Smart and Williams don't play, 4.5 is probably somewhere that I could see the line going to as well. Like very, very, pretty easily. Yeah.
Dexter's saying Boston on the money line. I'd almost wait till in game and see how close you can get the line to pick them. Right? Do 50% pre-flop and then see how close to pick them you can get on Boston. Maybe you can get 2.5 as a favorite. That would be a good number. Let's see what Renisha Brown has to say here. They're going to close this out, especially with the Warriors coming to a close. That's a good point. And everyone is betting the Celtics, thinking that they don't lose back-to-back home games, especially. That's pretty good stuff there, Renisha.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
That is good. Thanks for sharing that. That is good.
I could definitely see that happening as well. I mean, when you come to the playoffs, there's just way too many angles that look good, right? There's just so many things to think about from the Heat perspective and the Celtics side. Like and that's why we call it gambling, right? It's not a given. It's not. We're not 100% going to get it correctly every time. So,
well, I guess we'll end the show with that. We can make our comments in the comments section as game time approaches, and I'm sure both of us will be sending out tweets about the game. I had a pretty good week again in the NBA, 30-12 right now, the last 42. That's 71%, and I won that 10% bet, which those, the 5%ers are tough enough because you and I take this very seriously and personally, because when we give out a pick that is that big, obviously our sales are up a lot. There's new people coming in to, learn what our research is all about. And the pressure that I feel sometimes is immense, especially when I was contrarian on the Miami Heat on Saturday. But it ended up working out just fine. Yeah. And it is what it is. But I'm now 3-0 in the 10-unit max bets for the NBA, so I can't complain there. I'll have my full card up with all the sports later today. How about you, Ronald?
Today I think I'm gonna have one play in the WNBA. I'm likely gonna have one play here on NBA as well, so I'm probably gonna have those two. And I do have some system plays that I'm looking through in the MLB. I've been pretty quiet with MLB just because I had a rough start, so I want to continue monitoring my systems here and just make sure that I'm making the right decisions as we go. Dexter, my next show with Jay is Wednesday. He's going to be on my show, and then I'm going to be on his show on Thursday.
Yeah, and someday I'm going to be on your show.
Yeah, maybe this week.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
It's more my schedule than anything.
You do way
fault.
too many. You do way too many shows.
Yeah. Last week was a lot of fun though. I did ESPN out of Syracuse on Wednesday. That was a lot of fun talking about anything from the Preakness to the NBA playoffs, and then Friday I had the good fortune of having Marco D'Angelo, who's a co-founder of Wager Talk, on, and he has spent 37 years, Ronald, in the horse racing industry as a breeder.
Crazy.
Every single hat you could imagine wearing in that industry, he knows it, and just a tremendous wealth of information. Even if you go back and listen to that show now, it's going to provide you with betting intelligence. That's what it's all about, and you can use that for the Belmont coming up. You can use it for next year. I've learned so much from the guy. I can't even begin to tell you. I've become a monster on the horse racing circuit. So I guess that'll take care of everything for today. Make sure you go to sportsmemo.com, and it's $9 Monday. So all of our picks and packages are $9. I will have a Major League Baseball 3-pack up in about 2 hours, and the price is $9. That means it's $3, as Steve Merrill would say. It's $3 a pick instead of $9 Monday. Love the guy. Anyway, we're going to be back tomorrow, Ronald, for another edition of the NBA Triple-Double Show. So, especially in this game tonight with all the uncertainty, bet with your heads and not over it. And may all the wins continue to be yours.